Tourism. This budget also gets a failing mark from the tourism industry. I will focus on an example which also demonstrates further evidence of this government's failure to adequately support small business. While the province extracts almost $3 billion in direct taxation from the industry, it's failing to adequately support it. This is clearly seen in the penny-wise, pound-foolish decision to defund the Discovery Coast ferry route, which runs between Port Hardy and Bella Coola. Many of the resource-based industries in the area are struggling, and tourism has become more and more important to the local economy. In fact, 1/3 of local businesses rely on visitors who come by ferry. That is why provincial tourism associations are calling the cuts to ferry service in this budget a disaster. The ferries are an extension of the highways. Inland ferries are treated as such, and the costs to run them are described as investments by this government. But there is a double standard when it comes to ferries on the coast. Here, the operating costs paid for by taxpayers are labelled subsidies. In the government's twisted logic, highways cannot lose money, only ferries can. To add insult to injury, cancelling this ferry service will cost the province more in lost tax revenue than it would to subsidize the run. According to the Tourism Industry Association of BC, the total provincial taxes generated by the route are almost $800,000, while BC Ferry reports it loses $725,000 on the route. The report goes on to note that every year the Discovery Coast Ferry brings in almost $6 million in revenue for the BC tourism industry. 47% of tourist-dependent businesses between Bella Coola and Williams Lake will likely go out of business if the summer ferry service from Port Hardy to Bella Coola is cancelled. Once we were supernatural BC, but I guess now we are super tanker BC. If the government had analyzed the impact of ferry services on the tourism sector and on its own bottom line, it would not have acted the way it did. In estimates last year, when I asked the Minister of Tourism how many tourists ride the ferries, she was unable to answer the question and said, "I don't have access to that information." This government claims to have made a hard decision when in fact it was an uneducated decision.